So you've made it through the abstract, the introduction, the methods, and the results, and now you've hit the discussion section. This is where authors finally explain what all their research means. But this section can still feel dense, theoretical, or just full of jargon. The good news is that the discussion section isn't meant to confuse you. It's meant to help connect all the dots. And once you know what to look for, you can get real value from it without needing a research degree. Hi friends, I'm Matthew Courtney. I help educators build the confidence to use research in their daily decision making. So if you're into that, make sure you like and subscribe and come be part of our growing community. Today, we're talking about how to read the discussion section of a research article so you can pull out the key insights, ignore the jargon, and focus on what actually matters. Let's start with the big picture. The discussion section is where the researchers interpret their findings. They're not just reporting on data anymore. They're telling the story of what all those numbers mean and how they relate to other studies, and also the implications they might have for practice, policy, or future research. This section often follows a fairly predictable structure, even if it's not always labeled. Here are the 5 main things to look for. Number 1, a summary of key findings. The discussion usually begins with a quick recap of the results, this time in plain language. The authors might say something like, "Our findings suggest that," or "Students who participated in the intervention showed." This is where you confirm what was the main outcome. Did the intervention or strategy work? Were the results consistent with expectations? Use this to ground yourself before diving deeper into the analysis. Number 2, an explanation of what the findings mean. Here's where interpretation begins. The authors will try to explain why they think they got the results that they did. They might draw references between existing theories, draw comparisons to other studies, or offer some possible explanations for a surprising finding. This is where a lot of jargon can show up, so here's the tip. If you hit a paragraph that's heavy with academic language, don't panic, just ask yourself, what is the author trying to say about how or why the strategy worked or didn't work? Are there clear takeaways that I could use for my own work? Focus on the ideas, not the language. If you strip away the technical terms, most discussion sections are trying to say something very practical. Number 3, connections to previous research. A strong discussion will place the new findings in conversation with existing studies. So look for phrases like, "These results align with," "Our findings contradict," or "This builds on the work of." This is your window into how the field is evolving. If a finding confirms what others have found, it's more likely to be reliable. If it's new or surprising, it may need more study, but could also spark new thinking. Either way, this part of the discussion helps you understand where the research fits within the bigger picture. Number 4, limitations of the study. One of the most valuable parts of the discussion, if it's well done, is the section on limitations. Every study has them, and mature researchers will name them honestly. Look for statements like, "This study was limited by," "Our sample was relatively small," "Findings may not generalize to." These are not reasons to dismiss a study, but they are reasons to interpret the finding with caution. Use this section to ask, how might this limitation affect the results? Would the strategy work the same in my context? If a study doesn't include limitations, it's time to be skeptical. That's usually a sign that the authors are overconfident or overselling their results. Number 5, implications and next steps. Finally, the author will usually close with implications for practice, policy, or further research. This is where you'll see statements like, "Schools should consider," "This suggests a need for," "Future research should explore." This is your action zone. You're looking for ideas that can inform real decisions, whether it's a strategy to pilot, a professional learning to focus on, or a question to bring to your whole team. Sometimes the authors will offer very specific recommendations, and sometimes it's more general. Either way, this part helps you to move from what was studied to what it means for you. So let's recap. When reading the discussion section, focus on the recap of findings, the interpretation of those findings, connections to other research, the study's limitations, practical implications, and future directions. Remember, ignore the jargon. Translate the big ideas into your own language and ask yourself what's useful and what you'd want to learn more about. You don't have to understand every word to get real value from the discussion section. You just have to know where the meaning lives and be willing to engage with it. If this helped you feel more confident in navigating research, make sure you like and subscribe. And stay tuned for the next video where we'll talk through the conclusion and implication sections of a study. I'll see you next time.